Okay, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to another Quran study. God willing, today we'll be reading from Surah 81, verse 28. Let's all seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Actually, one sec. Also, projector preview and then share it here. So, God willing, I'll be reading from Surah 81, verse 28. For those who wish to go straight, whatever you will is in accordance with the will of God, Lord of the universe. So this is a path, for those who wish to go straight. As we read in the previous verse, this is a message for all the people, for those who wish to go straight. And then God says, whatever you will is in accordance with the will of God, Lord of the universe. So we have to remember that, all the guidance, everything comes from God, even the things that we think that we're deciding that we want to do something and we think we're doing it. God is the one who is allowing it to happen. If it's in accordance with God's will, it will happen. If it's not in accordance with God's will, things may not go as planned, as we know. That's why we're supposed to say God willing every time we want to say we want to do something in the future, because if you don't do it, you're thinking that you're not acknowledging that it's a reminder for you to remember that God is doing everything. So when you say to yourself, it nullifies Satan's claim. You invoke God's protection, and by saying the right utterances, and it's a commandment from God, to say God willing, because everything we will is that actually happens, is in accordance with God's will. And if God wills it, everything that we want will happen, otherwise it won't happen. Surah 82, the shattering, Al-Infitar, in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. It says, when the heaven is shattered, the planets are scattered, the oceans are exploded, the graves are opened, every soul will find out what caused it to advance and what caused it to regress. So these are talking about the events of the hereafter. The heaven is shattered because, and the oceans are exploded, the planets are scattered, everything we will watch right before our eyes, when the souls will be restored to our bodies. God will come down physically close to the earth, and our earth cannot withstand God's physical presence, and the heavens even. And so these are all gonna explode and shatter. And all the humans will be airborne, as we know from other verses in the Quran. And God says on that day, every soul will find out everything. Of course, everything that we've done, it will be available to us in the form of videotape, and we'll be able to see everything we did in this world, where most people thought that they were not being watched. And so it's important for us to remember that every moment that we spend in this world, that we want to look at it later and be proud of it. If this is something that you want the world to see on the day of judgment, that this is what you did. When you want to do things that you want to be proud of later, when you go and see a record that you strove in the cause of God. I mean, for your own good, obviously, because no one benefits more than you for everything that you do in this world. If it's to please God, eventually your soul benefits from it. And then, verse 6 says, reflect on God's creation, O you human being, what diverted you from your Lord, most honorable, the one who created you, designed you, and perfected you. In whatever design he chose, he constructed it. Indeed, you disbelieve in the religion, oblivious to the fact that there are invisible keepers around you. They are honest recorders. They record everything you do. And so we're asked to reflect on God's creation, which is very important because it shows to us, God's power, God's omnipotence, and it also brings us closer to God. And then, it allows us to reflect on the fact that God is the one who created us. He's our Lord and Master. He designed us, and it says He perfected you, right? So this is important when God talks about perfection. Why is it important for us to acknowledge that, God created the human design perfectly? Because no other alteration uh, can make it better. When people say that, want to alter, the natural function of anything that God has created, the natural design of anything God has created for a human being, thinking they could make it better, it always has a lot of unwanted side effects that prove that the way God designs is the perfect design. And this definitely brings me to the point of circumcision. When people say that they want to circumcise the babies because it's better for them, and they think that this is some extra thing that needs to be some imperfection that needs to be removed in order for the human being, the guy, to be better somehow, and be more protected from diseases or whatever. We understand that this is gonna have damage, cause damage to the person. Naturally we understand that. And the light just turned off. Okay, naturally we understand that this is something that God has created, and He has created us in a perfect design. And it says, in whatever design He chose, He constructed it. Imagine we had no say on how we want to look before we were born. How my face is going to look, what my hair is going to be like. We had no choice. And then God is the one who decided everything about our features, about our bodies, and He created them. Humans had no say in how they want to look like in general. God is the one who designed it. We don't even know how it works, right? God is the one who knows how it works. We're not doing anything. God is controlling our bodies, just like any other machinery, someone makes. A machine has no idea on how it is built and how it's working unless you describe it to the machine. But the human being also, has, it's a similar thing, right? That is created by God. And but God says the human being, is a disbeliever. Most people are disbelievers. Most people are going to hell, and most of those who believe will not do so without committing idol worship. So majority of people are going to follow Satan's path, and they're going to disbelieve in the religion. God says that, oblivious to the fact that there are invisible keepers around you. So many people believe with lip service, but they're doubtful, they're hypocrites. And they're oblivious to the fact that there are invisible keepers around us. There are angels. There are two angels that are recording everything that we're doing. And you can rest assured, like, it covers every angle of your body, your thoughts. Everything is being recorded, right? And it will be available to you on the day of judgment. And obviously, if the human being understood or believed that he is being washed in this manner, and everything he's doing is being recorded, he would live differently, and he would definitely not indulge in all kinds of things that they do, thinking that no one's watching them. And God says they record everything you do. So we have to be aware of that, as we live this life, that we're being watched very closely, and no action is or thought is hidden from God. Verse 13 says, surely the pious have deserved bliss, while the wicked have deserved hell. We'll incur it on the day of judgment. They never leave it. So, we're reminded constantly, especially in these later surahs, every chapter is talking about, events of the hereafter. And verse 17 says, awesome is the day of judgment. What a day, the day of judgment. That is the day when no soul can help another soul, and all decisions on that day will belong to God. So it's important here to remember that when it says awesome is the day of judgment, it's not like, someone says, oh yeah, I'm having an awesome day. Awesome is truly, like, in the literal sense, it's going to be an awesome day. And if you look up the definition of awesome, it says extremely impressive or daunting, inspiring great inspiration, apprehension, or fear. It will be stunning, astonishing, staggering, etc. Right? Miraculous, formidable, out of this world, mind blowing, mind boggling. It will be truly awesome, right? And God says, "What a day, the day of judgment! That is the day when no soul can help another soul." So no soul will be able to help any other soul, right? Because obviously we're all answerable for everything that we did in this world. So when people decide to partake in sins for the sake of other people, they realize that they're hurting their souls, because on the day of judgment, it's not gonna benefit them in any way. Um, God willing, I'll continue reading Surah 83, the cheaters, al-mutaffifin. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Woe to the cheaters who demand full measure when receiving from the people, but when giving them the measures or weights, they cheat. Do they not know that they will be resurrected on a tremendous day? That is the day when people will stand before their Lord of the universe. So the title of the surah is The Cheaters, and it talks about people who cheat in this world, and we understand that, how that works. People are cheating left and right when it comes to other people's properties. They're illicitly making money and stealing from the people. And I mean, this is a way of stealing because they're when they need for themselves, they want the full measure, whether it's money or provisions. But when giving it to someone else, they cheat. And God says, I mean, we know how people cheat. I mean, when it comes to products, they put cheap materials in the products to make more profit. When it comes to food, they put cheap ingredients to make more profit and sell for a high price and make as much money as they can. And people don't even realize that they're being cheated in this manner. Obviously, when you buy stuff from them, they may cheat in weighing in terms of the volume also. Like when you're working for people, you may work 20 hours and say you work for 40 hours, etc. These are all ways that people may cheat. And God says, like, we should be mindful that we don't cheat. Obviously, when people cheat, they victimize other people who are paying them. So we should remember that. And God says we have to be mindful of the fact that God is going to resurrect us on a tremendous day. It's not something that we can take lightly, right? Because we are going to be held accountable for all of that, right? If we knew that everything we're selling or buying and all the trade that's happening in the world and all the transactions that are being that are happening in this world, that are all being recorded in this manner, and then you're going to be held accountable for each and everything you did, I mean, you're not going to cheat at all, right? Because you know that nothing is being hidden. Obviously, when people cheat and they think they got away with something, they didn't, because they're paying the price for it. Eventually it seems to them, I mean, in the short term, it seems to them on the surface that they're gaining from it, but eventually they end up losing more, they end up suffering more, and it's not worth it for us to cheat in this manner when it comes to giving people what they deserve. And God says that is the day when all the people will stand before the Lord of the universe. So numerically structured books. Indeed, the book of the wicked is in Sijin. Do you know what Sijin is? A numerically structured book. Woe on that day to the rejectors. They do not believe in the day of judgment. None disbelieves therein except the transgressor, the sinful. When our revelations are recited to him, he says, tales from the past. Indeed, their hearts have become shielded by their sins. Indeed, they will be isolated on that day from their Lord. So the numerically structured books is talking about, we understand that the book of the unrighteous people is the Sijin, and God says Sijin is a numerically structured book. So it is talking about the Quran. We have the Iliyin and the Sijin. So the Sijin is the one that is, the book of the wicked people, that, when they read the Quran, they don't have access to the true Quran. They have the false Quran, and it only directs them to commit evil. And we see how, people use the Quran to commit